Hi everybody, it's Rebecca. Today we'll be making springtime salt dough ornaments. The items that you'll need in order to make these ornaments are 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of water. I usually have an extra little separate bowl of flour just in case the mixture is a little too sticky and I need to add some. You'll need a mixing bowl, spatula. I tend to just use my hands though, so make sure all of your rings and jewelry on your hands comes off. You'll also need I usually use either a pencil or this is just a stick, and just to poke a hole through the ornament to make it so that you can hang it. You'll also need a rolling pin. I laid parchment paper down on my countertop so that the dough doesn't stick to my countertop. You'll also need a cookie sheet. I use cookie cutters to make the different shapes, but you can also either use a glass to make a circular shape, or I cut out my own little stencils with paper, and then so what I'll do is once it's rolled out, I'll very carefully cut around the stencil. So I need paint and some type of clear coat. I use Mod Podge, but we'll kind of explain that part a little bit later. So I've already pre-measured my ingredients. So I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1 cup of salt, and then I also have 1 cup of water. You want to make sure that it's decently warm. You're just going to pour that all in. And then you're going to just start mixing it. So it'll become, it might take a little bit, but it'll become kind of like a little bit stiffer than Play-Doh. So normally I'll fold it in with my spatula, and then once it gets to a point where it's not super floury, then I will go in and I will use my hands to make sure that everything is mixed well. I've done it in the past where I haven't mixed it enough and it's really stiff to work with, so you want to make sure that you want to play with it a little bit longer than you think you need to, because then it makes it more pliable. In the past I've made paw print ornaments for the holidays, so I made this dough and then I gently took my dog's foot and pressed the paw print in there. You can do the same thing with hand prints, thumb prints. Actually today I'm going to end up doing a cute little Easter egg with thumbprint heart on it, and I'll show you that as well. So I'm just going to keep mixing. Again, you want it pliable. You don't want it falling apart, or you don't want it too powdery. So if it's too powdery, then you're going to add a little bit of water, not a whole lot, because then it'll go too watery. And then so if it's too watery, what you can do is add a little bit of flour. I also forgot to mention I lined my kitchen counter with some parchment paper or wax paper, and this is just so that it doesn't stick to my counter. It's not a very sticky dough, but it's just an extra barrier. Oops. to the side. So again, I'm just going to kind of work this. The proportions actually look to be doing all right today, so I don't need to add anything. Another way that you can do this instead of painting it afterwards is adding food coloring to part of the dough beforehand. I don't like working with food coloring when it comes to like dough like this where I'm going to be rolling it in my hands, because then my hands turn all different colors. Okay, so now it is time to roll out our dough. And for this step, I'm actually going to take off the parchment paper because it's just causing more problems and I've been not having it. So we're just going to move that off to the side. Okay, so just going to flatten it out a little bit. I'm going to take my rolling pin, and you want to make it nice and even. You don't want one place to be super thick, the other place to be really thin. So the more even you can get it, the better. Sometimes I'll move the dough around. So if it's like not working in one spot and I want to fill it somewhere else, just kind of rip it off and move it. So again, with this, you don't want it so thin that it's not going to hold together. But you don't want it super thick either, because it takes longer to dry out. And the whole point of this is so that you dry out all that moisture and it holds together in that nice shape. So almost there. The first time I tried to do this, it didn't work out so well. But I really like this recipe. And what really helps is making sure that that water is nice and warm. Okay, so our dough is rolled out. I'm just going to take a couple different cookie cutters and just push them in, just like if you're making cookies. And then I'm also going to make a few just with my glass. And again, even if you just wanted to do some circles, that is simple enough, and you can paint it however you want. So if I run out of enough room to do some of the bigger cookie, like the bigger cuts, I will go back in with my glass, just so I can get a couple extra in. And have room for one more. Let's do nice butterfly. I'm going to take the excess dough up. I might need a spatula to get these ones up. I probably should have done was put some anti-stick spray down. Now I'm going to take my extra dough and roll it out and do it all over. Okay, so I finished cutting everything out in my dough, and I put them all on cookie sheets. So here's one of the cookie sheets. I have another one ready to go as well. So you're either going to put them off to the side and let them sit ideally 2 days for all of the moisture to come out and so that they can harden. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into my oven, which was preset at 325. And they're going to sit in there for about an hour. Some of them are a little bit thicker than others, so they might be done at different times. When the ornaments are ready, you can take them out of the oven and then let them cool. They'll look like this. Really hard cookies. So once they're cool, what you can do is decorate them. I like to use paint. You can really decorate them any way that you'd like. I did a little carrot, a little chick, and then I went a little crazier with my bunny rabbit with a little bit more detail. I also did an egg. And then I know that I mentioned before doing a paw print. I ended up doing my cat Millie's. So once you're done painting, let them dry. And then we're gonna take Mod Podge or any other clear coat sealer that you have, and we're just gonna go and brush over the top of them. So you wanna make sure that the whole thing is covered. I like using a sponge brush, but you can use whatever kind of brush you want. Just make sure that you rinse it off really well after you use it, because otherwise it'll get it really hard and you won't be able to use the brush anymore. So I'm just going to do this quick. And then I'm just gonna let it dry. Once that's dry, if you'd like, you can take ribbon and go through that hole that you made in your ornament. You might need to use a needle and thread, or a needle. I'm gonna try and make this work. Oh. I'm going to take the dowel that I used before and just kind of push it through and then tie it, and then I have an ornament. I hope you like this activity and give it a try. We'd love to see your ornaments, so comment with the pictures below. Thanks and have a great day.